Well, hello there, it's Shug. You ever have one of those weeks where you get asked a question a couple of times and you've never been asked that question in your life? I had that kind of week. So what I want to do is just kind of cover that today because it's so weird that it came up twice. Not once, but twice. Can a whoopee sling be too tight? I'm having trouble, Shug, getting mine loose. And I know that they can if you put them on a tarp. That's not a go. That's a no-go. But on a hammock, I don't know. I'm perplexed as to how they got them so tight. So I'm going to delve in and see how they did and come up with an answer for that, or at least we will have explored it, and we'll have some sort of clue. And can you get a whoopee sling too tight or not? That's coming from me, Shug, of the third person. I know I'm Shug because it says so on my hoodie, and it's a goodie. You know, I reckon there's a lot of you out there kind of going, you know, Sugar, I don't know what a whoopee sling is. A whoopee sling is, well, it's a whoopee sling. I know it's the weirdest name in the world, and they've been around for a long time, and they started to get purposed in hammock suspensions. I use them most of the time. I like the whoopee sling. I discovered it when I was kind of new to hammocks. I thought it was really cool. It works for me. I know there's some people that dislike and abhor the whoopee sling, and that's cool. You know, everybody in the hammock world likes to kind of, you know, likes to sort of tout their own personal suspension. It makes us all cool. So the thing about a whoopee sling is I like it for a hammock suspension. Here's how a whoopee sling actually works. All right, let's take a look at what a whoopee sling is. And keep in mind, this is not the usual configuration for a whoopee sling. I have it hooked to the ridge line of my tarp, and it's on the D-ring, and I'm using a Dutch Beaner. But right here on a whoopee sling, which is 7/64 am steel, you have what is called the fixed loop. It's spliced in, but that one does not adjust. Here we have the tail. This is the whoopee sling that's kind of left over, all right? That's your leftover part. If you look really closely here, you can see a constrictor. You see part of the whoopee sling, the tail, is embedded in this constrictor, which is about 10 inches. And then it comes out right here. And this constrictor, you think about those finger cuffs where you kind of put your finger in one end and somebody puts their finger in the other end, and you pull on it, it tightens up on your finger. That's exactly what this does. So the line, this tail piece right here that I'm pulling out, that's the end of it. All right, that's kind of how much longer I can make my whoopee sling, basically. Runs through the constrictor, and then this is the loop of that line. And I have it hooked to this gizmo right here that I can loosen and tighten. Because what's going to happen is when I tighten up this whoopee sling, it's going to be really hard to get off. Darn near impossible. So I'm going to have to use this end to loosen up, to give myself some slack to loosen up the whoopee sling. You know, I don't even understand what I just said, but just bear with me. We'll see how it works. Just to explain here is the long tail end of the whoopee sling. And if I'm going to tighten this whoopee sling up, what I do is I'm pulling it through, and this loop down here is getting smaller. You can see it tightening up like that. And then what you do is you call milk your berry, which is running your fingers to stretch that berry out so it's locked in and this end doesn't slide through. Yeah. When I first got into hammocks and discovered whoopee slings, I thought they would be great. I was thinking, man, these will be awesome. Yeah, awesome. As a suspension for my tarp, for my guy outs, you know, my main ridgeline guy outs that go to the trees. When I tried whoopies off the end of my tarps and tighten that tarp up, because I like a tight ridgeline, and I hope you do too, otherwise I don't think we can hang out. I could not get those things undone. All right, because of that little constrictor in the middle, and I was talking about it in the demonstration, and if you remember those finger cuffs, works on the same thing. So you got to be able to loosen up that constrictor. That part of that 10-inch part of the whoopee sling is called the constrictor, all right? You got to be able to loosen that constrictor up to get that line through to loosen up the whole whoopee sling. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. And I have this extra line on here, this thing which is adjustable, because the whoopee, I can already tell you what the results are going to be. I'm going to pull this tight, and it's going to be too tight to loosen. So I'm even putting a little extra pressure on my tarp ridge line so I have as little slack as possible in here. And I'm pulling tight. All right, now I'm gonna milk my berry. And that tarp is pretty darn tight right there. The question burns, can you make a whoopee too tight? But if I get in here right now with this tight whoopee and I try to loosen it up, I got no room to loosen this constrictor. You know, I'm trying to bunch it up a little bit and it's really hard. You know, I could probably work on it a while and get it. I think what we're trying to say here, at least I'm trying to say it to you, is you need a little slack in the line, all right? That's why I put this other line on here that I can slacken the line. So now I've given it a little bit of slack. And now we can see I've got some slack there and I can easily get in here, all right? And I can pull that line through on this whoopee and loosen it up. I'm gonna tighten it up as much as I can. I'm even gonna make it tighter right there. And I got nothing to work with here. It's just too tight. Got a little bit. Thing is, it shouldn't have to be that hard. You don't want things taken away from your precious time out in the woods when you could be sitting in your hammock or sitting on the ground and just mouth breathing and staring at the wind. And yeah, I see the wind. I have magic eyes. So now what I'm going to do is hook up a hammock I have. It's a simple hammock, has a ridge line on it right there. We have whoopee slings. Now I'm curious about this too because I've never had my hammock so tight with whoopee slings that I couldn't undo it. So I'm going to hook it up and try to pull it as tightly as I can and see if that's even possible with a hammock. I already know that it's going to raise my hammock way up because of the way I hang my hammock, which I think is the proper thing with a 30-degree suspension, roughly 30 degrees. I normally hang my tree hugger or where I go around my tree about as high as my head, and I'm 6 feet tall and shrinking. So for this test, I probably will try to hang the hammocks a little bit more straight out and tighten it up and see if it loosens, and then we'll have a true answer to this problem. But yeah, I think you could run into a little problem with that. So to those viewers, I know I answered you, but I think maybe try hanging your suspension at a 30-degree or so angle, and your lines, your whoopee slings won't tighten up so much that you can't untighten them. But you know, I appreciate these guys trying and experimenting and trying something cool, and they may switch to another suspension. I don't know if I can know that or not. I'm not Kreskin. Yeah, I just aged myself. I said Kreskin. People are going, all right, let's try this. All right, sitting in my hammock, and you can see my suspension is about 30 degrees. Up to the tree and up to the fence there. All right, I'm gonna start pulling these whoopee slings tight, as tight as I can. It raises my hammock up pretty high. See if I can get anything here. You see, there's a lot of things I don't like about that. I don't like how straight the suspension is. It puts a lot of forces on the whoopee slings, on the hammock fabric, and on the tree, and on my fence. And that's pretty high. I'm not a high hammocker. I don't hammock high, because I'm 65. I hammock low, and I hammock slow. But I still got enough slack to loosen it up. So I don't really know what that proves. So I'm going to hang it lower and straighter, but I want to see if I can loosen those up. All right, I lowered the hammock. I am pulling as much as I can here on this thing to tighten it up. Going to this end, doing the same. Here's the thing, can I loosen those whoopee slings? Not but one way to find out, Chuck. Yeah. Okay, that's kind of hard. But I can get it. I'm kind of pushing down to loosen that constrictor. So maybe because this guy, well, both these guys were new, maybe they don't know enough about pushing on the constrictor, or they just don't have the experience to figure out how to loosen it. And I've been at this since 2007. It's a long time. 2024 today, I don't know what the math is, but that's a long time. By the way, if you don't know what a ridge line is, that's this red line running right across there. All right? Handy for hanging things, but even with those whoopies pulled tight, I still have this same curvature in my hammock. But I'm going to take one end off now, probably this end, because it's easier. We're going to tighten it up again and see what we get. All right, I dropped that ridge line off, and you could already see I haven't touched the ends of the hammock, the suspension, and you can see how low it dropped it. So now I'm going to tighten up again. All right. Ridge line's just dangling here. I'm even wrapping my hand on here to pull as tightly as I can. That is one tight hammock right there. That even makes me a little nervous for Green Bean, the new 2.0. That's super tight. My edges are really tight on this hammock. I'd be laying in there like that. People do it. I don't, but let's see if I can loosen it up. I even tighten it a little more there. Yeah, it's hard. If I'm working enough, yep. So I was able to loosen that, but honestly, that took me some work. That took me wrapping my fingers around, loosening that constrictor up, which means bunching it up this way rather than the long way, and working that line a little bit. So I would say this proves that a whoopee can be too tight. Unless you've really got experience on how to loosen it and you want to put that effort in. That's the conclusion for this video. I feel like we've all learned something, and we're going to go on and we're going to be smarter people, and we can talk about it at parties. And people look at us like, man, what you talking about? Whoopee what? Come here, Bean. Come on. Come here, Beanie Weenie. What you doing, Beanie Weenie? Beanie Weenie. Come on. Good boy. You're a good boy, aren't you? You're a good boy. Well, you want to go in, don't you? Hello. Hello. All right, I'll let you in. You just want to get in. You're cold. I'm going back out. You know, a lot of you have been reaching out to me and asking if I'm going camping or anything, but you know, we haven't had any snow. It's been warm, and some of the lakes up north froze, and then some unfroze or defroze. In fact, our lake did that. It froze, it unfroze, it froze again, and unfroze. There's not a lot of snow, and sometimes it's been wet and cold, like 36 degrees and raining, and I don't really want to go out in that. I want some snow and some winter, so I'm going to wait it out. So that's why I haven't gone. I just haven't really been motivated to go and try out my cool toys. And sometimes, you know, it depends. You have to find a place where you can get water. There's no snow for water, barely any. And can I get through to get water? I just don't want to go up with a lot of guesswork. I just want to have some fun out there. I just want to get out and enjoy myself. Is what I want to do. And boy, does it feel good out here in my nut hut right now. So anyway, I got all my winter stuff right over here ready to go. I got some new Hawk skis, and I want to try those. So come on, snow and winter. I mean, maybe it'll be delayed, and I got to have surgery on my vocal cords. I have a node on my vocal cord, kind of like the singer Adele had, and I got to have that done. Coming right up here, January 19th at the Mayo Clinic, and I'm not going to be able to speak for a month. You know, I've noticed my voice hasn't felt the same for the last year. I've been hoarse a lot. I really noticed it on last year's, it was the winter hang in Wisconsin, the Wisconsin winter hang, and I went totally hoarse and went and had it checked, and that's what I got to do, but I can't talk for a month, and then I'm on a talking schedule, so I thought I'd just let you know where I'm at with that. It's not cancerous, not anything serious, but me not talking for a month, and then I'm on like a talking schedule where I get like 7 minutes a day, and they don't want you whispering because whispering's creepy anyway, and that's harder on your vocal cords. You're just kind of talking like, you know, we're sitting on we're sitting somewhere quiet where we shouldn't be talking, but we are talking. So just kind of talking in a low voice and have to log my minutes for the day. I'll get like 3 minutes one day, 5 the next, 7 the next, 10 the next, and eventually I'll be back up to running my mouth with a lot of palaver like I normally do. I do enjoy a procedure.
My name is Suge and I'm feeling all right. Let's get to this subject before it turns night. It's gonna get dark. Oh, before too long.
And I'm gonna have to sing you a song.
So you wanna jump out your trick bag and ease on into hip bag, but you ain't just exactly sure what's hip. Started to let your hair go, spend big bucks to top your wardrobe, but somehow you know there's much more to the trip. What is hip? Tell me if you think you know. What is hip? If you really hip, the person that you was shown, you in a hip trip, maybe hipper than hip. But what is hip? Smoking only the best weed, hanging out on the so-called set. Get seen in all the right places, seen with just the right faces. Should be satisfied, still it ain't quite right. What is hip? Tell me if you think you know. What is hip? If you're really hip, the passion that you can show, you in a hip trip. Maybe hipper than hip. What is hip? Let's hear what it is. Hip, let's hear what it is. Hip, let's hear what it is. And sometimes goodness is what it ain't. Hey, you went and found you a guru in an effort to find you a new you, and maybe even manage to raise your conscious level while you're striving to find the right road. There's one thing you should know: what's hip today might become passé. What is hip? Tell me if you think you know. What is hip? If you're really hip, the person that is the show, you in a hip trip, maybe hipper than hip. What is hip? Think about it, y'all. What is hip? Tell me if you think you know. What is hip? If you're really hip, the passing years will show. What is hip? Tell me if you think you know. What is hip? If you're really hip, the passing years will show. What is hip? What is hip? I'd like to know. What is hip? Is it in the style of your hair? What is
Why am I being so strident? Because it's the way I am.